Hey, I'm alright. How you doing? Well, I had two questions. One of them is the affidavit for poverty in Delta is still there. It wasn't struck off by a judge, but what's more concerning is that my post-conviction relief that I filed, you can't order it on Delta computer systems. So they had more recently, like over the past week, removed the post-conviction relief from being accessed by the public. But there's no, it makes absolutely no sense for it to be sealed, because I've asked all along for the affidavit of poverty to be sealed because it's a complete embarrassment.
What's your case?
L20, I'm not sure. Reardon is the last name.
Okay, so talk me through what you're wanting to find out again. I've got your case call.
So, I mean, I've been trying to get the affidavit of poverty taken off because I don't believe that's something that just anybody should be able to purchase.
Okay.
And it's got, personal information on there.
Okay. It's still out there?
It's still on there. Yeah. And like over the past week, the post-conviction relief that was able to be purchased is now,
now you can't purchase.
now you can't. So it's like the court has stacked it unfavorably towards me to where my motion that I filed, there's no access to.
Let me get with you.
Okay.
They just got swapped around there. Sealed, so now they've got it sealed. They just sealed the wrong one.
Okay.
When they did it. So you should be able to see the post-conviction relief and the seal,
Is the affidavit of poverty?
The poverty paperwork is sealed.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. I was wondering, that was weird. Okay. And one other thing. So I didn't even know that Judge Luther wasn't even supposed to be on the case.
Well, we didn't have a choice, probably, because we had 2 or 3 judges retired.
Right, but then Judge Kent Brown came in and was assigned to my case. It's actually still in Delta, assigned to Kent.
Brown or Kent Smith?
It might be Kent Smith. Yeah.
Okay, now he just got handled. He just got appointed like.
He wasn't here. It is
Well, but in Delta, it shows the judge assigned is Judge Kent Smith.
Well, what happened was we had to change out the other judge. Kent Smith took all of Judge Gregory's cases.
I got you.
So.
Well, the reason I say that, though, is that Judge Luther morally was supposed to be recused on this. And because he was provided evidence of fraud committed by the state and the county before I even filed the post-conviction relief, and it was outside of a courtroom. So which can enable biasness of the judge. And the fact that I didn't even get an evidentiary hearing when I raised the fact that 3 constitutional rights were violated, plus there was new evidence, and there was unsurpassed amounts of fraud committed by the county and a cover-up, I wasn't even given an evidentiary hearing. He just abruptly, and I understand that with the other judges that the courts are backed up.
Yeah.
There was no need in him making a call 2 weeks into the post-conviction relief without giving an evidentiary hearing. So I would like to, pursuant to Mississippi Rule 59, that allows for a retrial, a rehearing with new evidence.
Jeff, I'm going to need a little guidance. He is, Matt is wanting to. Can you repeat the last thing?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
So, Rule 59 and 60. I believe 59. I have 10 days after the ruling is made to in certain scenarios. One of them being if there's new evidence that is discovered. It involves evidence, and see, Judge Luther was supposed to have been recused from this case. I mean, he wasn't. There was in no way he supposed to make such a quick call, especially without giving an evidentiary hearing.
You called Judge Luther's secretary.
I did, and she said that I would need to send her an email to set a trial date, to set a hearing date. That was what was discussed. As I was asking about how the schedule looked for a hearing date, and the big claims that I made in my post-conviction relief, Judge Luther didn't even address. 3 constitutional rights violations, new evidence, fraud committed by the county, and the sheriff's department that was unearthed. I deserve an evidentiary hearing to present this, and under Mississippi Rule 59, No, and I was going to appeal it to the Court of Appeals and then the Supreme Court, but before I did that, I was going to appeal it back here to Circuit Court. I need to do a motion to compel as well, to get the Sheriff's Department and Attorney David O'Donnell to turn over the information about the phone call that they're refusing to. About May 24th, 2017. So I was going to do a motion to... Okay. How long do I have from the time that call was made? Is it 10 days?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
We can't give out any call information. I think it's correct, but you would be able to find that probably online. But
Well, tomorrow would make 10. I know that the weekends don't count, so that would give me until Monday to get the motion in here, correct?
I don't answer that question. I know we're probably on live stream.
No, I'm not live streaming. I'm not live streaming.
I'm not going to answer because I don't know.
I got you, Jeff.
Yeah,
I got you.
I mean, I have no problem at all. I just can't answer those questions because I don't know that.
I just can't believe, it's absolutely just gawking to me that Judge Luther could deny it without even giving a hearing in light of the serious allegations, that I raised.
Yeah, I didn't even read.
It's mind-boggling. It's absolutely, and for me to have to get stuck without my rights for the rest of my life on a quid pro quo scandal where I was completely innocent. I deserve a chance to clear my name and show what these people have done.
But like I said, I didn't read it. I'm not disputing anything you're saying. I'm just, the only thing that I do know you have to do is appeal it.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to appeal it. I would like to give a response.
Send us the motion. We'll get it filed, stamp filed, and Monday or whenever you bring it in here, we'll get it put in your file.
I might see about giving you the video response that I gave the other night to that and have that entered in the.
Whatever you want me here to say about, I'll be glad to.
No, I know. I'm gonna look into 59 and 60.
They just tell me not to do any lawyers, but that's what
I know.
I'll leave that up to y'all and the judges.
I know I can also file in Chancery Court. That was a weird one. Chancery Court, I can do a complaint for discovery. It's rarely used, but just to try to determine the proper venue for filing suit against the FBI here in Oxford as well as their headquarters in Virginia. They refused to comply with a FOIA request, so they're going to have to answer for why they did not turn up my 302 from May 25th. That sets precedence. They cannot be allowed to just get away with gapping off a FOIA. Yeah, that'll be in district court.
It should be set on there. It just got turned around. So the poverty thing is sealed now, and you should be able to see your personal notification.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Have a great day.
You too. As I started getting to work on producing my live documentary, Riding with the Outlaw, I discovered more and more fraudulent activity being conducted by Lafayette County, by the authorities, by the agencies. They were covering their tracks on this. I did multiple FOIA, Freedom of Information Act requests, trying to compel information, trying to get the information that I needed beyond what I had. The FBI. So I did a FOIA request for the public record, for the 302 investigative report of the FBI back on May 25th, 2017. The reason I wanted that was because I wanted to show everything that I was saying in regards to my case was 100% the truth. I met with them about this reason. This is the stuff that I discussed. After all, it's a federal crime to lie to the FBI. So you would think, automatically, in order for me to truly be guilty of what the state was charging me with, that would have meant that I was guilty also of lying to the FBI, because you can't have it both ways. I couldn't have, told the FBI that I purchased a gun on May 20th. That would have been a big part of the meeting because I had a death threat on me. But the state of Mississippi alleges that on or before May 8th, I took that same weapon and put the Lynches in fear of their life. By the way, just about every day, leading up until May 19th, I was visiting the Lynches bar. It was right across the street from an attorney friend of mine on the square in Oxford. I don't know anybody that would, in their right mind, put somebody in fear of their life and continue visiting their establishment. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, okay? I reach out to Judge Luther's office to his assistant named Kathy. Kathy tells me to send her an email with all the information about the fraud, about my innocence in the matter, and that she would get it to Judge Luther and would get back to me as to what to do. See, I was looking for an evidentiary hearing so that I could present this information. I sent it to her. Okay. I said, Kathy, I'm looking for a directive from Judge Luther on my case LK17-295. In my efforts to gather all evidence to back the fact that I had inadequate legal representation in my case, which actually included a common interest to the other side, by my attorney, I have uncovered numerous erroneous, corrupt acts committed on behalf of the state. My First, 8th, and 14th Amendment rights were trampled on, and everything was an organized act to prevent me from coming forward with information I had which would have had political implications on the then incoming Mayor Robin Tannehill. I hold in my possession circumstantial evidence proving beyond any shadow's doubt my innocence to the matter. I have requested the 302 from the sit-down meeting with the FBI on May 25, 2017, the day before my arrest by Lafayette County, in which I had a death threat on my life, and it explained in that meeting that I had purchased the AR-15 on May 20th as a way to protect myself and my family. The erroneous frame charge on me stated on or before May 8th, I put the Lynches in fear of their life with that weapon, but it's simply impossible, and a bill of sale proves that. This was a brutal assassination of my rights in order to keep information from coming out that could potentially have political ramifications on the mayor, along with achieving the goal, yada, yada, yada. You can see this email. It's on the court filings at Lafayette County Circuit Court. Unless those get tampered with as well, I get an email back from Kathy. Received. Thank you, Mr. Reardon. This was on June the 1st, 2020 at 8:49 p.m. Thank you, Miss Kathy. When do you think you'll have an answer from Judge Luther? My concern at the present moment is two things in particular, one being the 3-year statute of limitations and the other being destruction of evidence. I have reason to believe through correspondence with the FBI at the 302 from the interview with the FBI conducted on May 25th, 2017, where I produced evidence of the death threat made on me, as well as information I had at the time on Ray Tannehill, was discussed. Is missing in action, along with the video evidence of the meeting. Now, based on the Sheriff's Department not complying through refusing to communicate back on my request for the recorded phone call supposedly from May 24, 2017, it leads me to believe that there's either damning information that further substantiates my claim and or could be missing in action as well, which leads me to feeling the need to draft a complaint in the Northern District in order to prevent any evidence in question or any other evidence from disappearing. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind, which is backed by evidence, that this is a cooked charge that I was framed on and has had serious life-altering implications on my life. One thing I'm trying to get to the bottom of here is the question of, was it done at the directive of public officials, and even worse, for political purposes, as all signs point to. The precedence this sets, if allowed to stand, is lethal to society and completely destructive to our Constitution that's been framed in place for hundreds of years. So I guess the huge question at hand is this. Will Judge Luther grant me an emergency hearing within the next week, if possible, in order for me to present evidence to the facts stated, in order to, at the minimum, quash the covenant to not sue, with the ultimate goal of getting the plea and sentence vacated? Okay? So I sent that right back to Kathy that night. I then get a response back on Tuesday, the 2nd of June. Mr. Reardon, Judge Luther has reviewed your emails and asked me to respond to you to let you know that in Mississippi, when someone wishes to challenge a plea of guilty, the rules need to be followed as outlined in the Mississippi Code for Post-Conviction Relief. Okay? If you wish to have the issues heard in court, please follow the rules as set forth in the Post-Conviction Relief Act. Thank you for your attention, and perhaps you'll find this helpful. Okay, so I file a post-conviction relief where this thing takes a sharp left-hand turn off the road and a left to city, is when the judge assigned to the case, and the judge that summarily and prejudicially denied my motion for post-conviction relief. In fact, so right here are the 5, I've got several meritorious facts that I raise, concerns that I raise in this post-conviction relief, which are definitely worthy, at the very minimum, worthy of having an evidentiary hearing. And I would say that there's probably judges out there that would probably go ahead and toss my plea based on the reasons listed in this post-conviction relief. That the petitioner pled guilty to the aforementioned alleged crime and was sentenced by Circuit Court of Lafayette County, Mississippi on the 6th of July, 2017 in cause number LK17-295 to 5 years in the custody of the Department of Corrections, with the balance of the sentence to be served out on supervised probation, a true copy of which is attached hereto as Exhibit B. It's filed pursuant to Mississippi Code 9939-5. It's the Post-Conviction Relief Collateral Act, filed in the correct jurisdiction and venue. That the respondent, which is the state of Mississippi, the county, was in direct violation of the petitioner's 1st, 8th, and 14th constitutional rights at the time the plea was given. Big one right there. I believe that if any constitutional rights are violated, I believe that it's worthy of a hearing. I believe that our civil rights, our constitutional rights, are that important. And they've come that much under attack in today's society that any allegations of constitutional rights violations by the state is worthy of taking a look at, for sure. So, next point. The petitioner's guilty plea was involuntary due to a denial of his due process rights as guaranteed by the United States and state of Mississippi constitutions, thus making his plea guilty of violation of the laws of the state of Mississippi. The petitioner received inadequate representation by his legal counsel on record
in which adequate counsel representation likely would have resulted in an outright dismissal of the state's frivolous charge. Furthermore, petitioner only met with his legal counsel one time, and no discovery motion was ever requested by the petitioner's legal counsel. Next point, that the state has refused to comply with a Freedom of Information Act request for information regarding the phone call received on May 24, 2017, in which, through the state's own admission on a more recent public records request, ultimately led to the charge being levied against the petitioner. A copy of the state's admission to the phone call and basing their allegation on it is attached here too as Exhibit C. If there exists additional evidence of material facts not reasonably discovered at the time of involuntary plea, not previously presented and heard, which requires vacation of the conviction or sentence in the interest of justice. All right, and that would be, of course, the evidence, the bill of sale, the everything that I had discovered so far up to that point with Riding with the Outlaw. I've discovered it's a ridiculous amount of evidence. Ridiculous. So I get a order posted in Delta Computer Systems. It's posted on the 30th of July, so that was approximately 2.5 weeks after I filed the post-conviction relief. Now, there's several things that stood out in this that were very odd. After reviewing the documents filed by the petitioner, the court finds it plainly appears from the face of the motion and prior proceedings that the petitioner is not entitled to any relief. The court finds the transcript of the plea and sentencing hearing in the petitioner's criminal case for aggravated stalking belies petitioner's claims for relief. Therefore, the court is of the opinion the requested relief is not well taken and is hereby denied. Now, I'm going to go ahead and make it known that at that point, the transcript was not published to the file of LK 17295, because what happened after that is what is so shockingly bizarre. Okay? John Kelly Luther should have never been on this case to begin. August the 4th, 2020. You can see right here, this is on Delta Computer Systems. Matthew Reardon versus State of Mississippi. It's for post-conviction relief. All right. Judge name, Kent Smith. 3-year post-conviction relief. You can see right here, it's got the order denying relief. This was nothing but a witch hunt. This was a quid pro quo scandal. This benefited multiple parties, including the Lafayette County Sheriff's Department, Deputy Sheriff Timmy Pruitt. It also benefited the county, all right, because the county, the Sheriff's Department, and Timmy Pruitt were coming under fire from the May 1st arrest that was going viral on Cop Block. I'm going to show this up close right here. August 4th. Okay? Judge's name, Kent Smith. I want you to watch what happens right here. Okay? Let's jump over to August 12th, 2020. Judge Kent Smith is still the judge listed on here. After I file the motion for recusal, judge's name changes to John Kelly Luther. You can also see that 812 motion for recusal with exhibits. They just entered that, and when they entered that, they changed the judge's name in the system that I was raising hell 10 ways to Sunday about, because there was a complete conflict of interest. Why are they changing records in Delta Computer Systems to suit their needs? As you can see, a couple of things happened here. A, Judge Kelly Luther, John Kelly Luther, summarily and prejudicially made the call denying my post-conviction relief motion that was well crafted and listed it listed very meritorious points in it that needed to be examined. And Judge John Kelly Luther takes it on himself to go in and to rule on another judge's case. And then get this. This matter is before the court on petitioner's motion titled Motion for Rehearing under Mississippi Rule 59 before the Honorable Judge Kent Smith. The petitioner requests this court reconsider its order entered July 30th, 2020, in which the court under Mississippi Code annotated Section 9939-11 summarily denied petitioner's request for post-conviction collateral relief. The petitioner also alleges the undersigned judge should recuse himself from this post-conviction matter. The court, being fully advised in the premises and having considered the arguments in petitioner's motion for rehearing, finds that the motion is not well taken and is hereby denied. The clerk of the court is directed to provide a copy of the order to the petitioner, so ordered and adjudged on the 12th day of August. That was when he signed it. Okay? And here's the craziest part of all. File this the 11th day of September, 2020. So I really don't know what happened here. You have 30 days to put in a notice to appeal to the Supreme Court from the date the ruling was entered. 30 days. So the judge, the same day that I put in for the motion of recusal, the judge supposedly orders and adjudges the denial. Gives it to the circuit clerk to get to me, to send to me. It wasn't entered into the system until the 11th day of September. 30 days later. Now twice, I've been denied by Judge Kelly Luther. The circuit clerk's office is there defending him. I mean, well after this whole process had started and was going. Changed the judge and the system assigned to my case that I had gone under the impression was my judge, and changes to a judge that should be recused. They would do that in light of all the obstruction, all the fraudulent concealment, all the criminal activity. Now they're picking the gun up and turning it around on the citizens. Turning the gun around on a veteran, Marine Corps veteran. And if they can do that to someone who pledged a lifelong oath to their country and government, you better bet your ass that they can do it to you, and they will do it to you in a heartbeat. I am, in fact, appealing to the Supreme Court. I would love to appeal to the Supreme Court right this second to throw John Kelly Luther off of my case. In fact, at this point, I think he probably needs to be recused of all cases at Lafayette County Circuit Court, because clearly he's not in his right mind to make the rulings that he's making. The state has destroyed me over this. I've lost 3 houses since everything happened 3 years ago, having the attached stigma that comes with being a stalker alleged by the state when I never did anything of the such. And the state knows it. These federal agencies know it. I never knew that I would find anything remotely close to what I found. And it continually getting deeper. The web, the spider web, continuing to go deeper and deeper. Well, thank you for tuning in. Trying to get a little better and better each time with my video software. I don't know if you've seen the transition over the past few months, but I've been trying to put more into it, trying to get my lighting right, and I got the virtual camera going now. A few little hiccups there, here and there. The amount of fraud that we're going to see in this coming election, it's gonna completely rip our country apart. I have no doubt about it. The way that it's already tearing itself apart right now. Don't leave it to mail-in voting, mail-in ballots. Don't give them any more ballots to count than what they need to. Just go to the voting booth. Go to the voting booth. I'm gonna vote that way because I know I wouldn't trust my ballot in the hands of somebody else. Please follow my page. My name is Matt Reardon. I am the Oxford Outlaw. Thanks to Lafayette County, state of Mississippi, that ultimately took that name and banished me. City of Oxford and Lafayette County. The term of my probation. They thought it was 5 years. To the corrupt state actors, got my eyes on you.
So I want to read something. And this is going to be, I think, probably the final little bit that I was going to touch on. And that is how ironically spot on this is. This is 42 U.S. Code 1985. Conspiracy to interfere with civil rights. Federal. First paragraph really doesn't apply. It's preventing an officer from performing duties, but the second and the third are spot on. Second, obstructing justice, intimidating party, witness, or juror. If two or more persons in any state or territory conspire to deter by force, intimidation, or threat any party or witness in any court of the United States from attending such court or from testifying to any matter pending therein, freely, fully, and truthfully, or to injure such party or witness, person, or property on account of his having so attended or testify or to influence the verdict, presentment, or indictment of any grand or petite juror in any such court, or to injure such juror in his person or property on account of any verdict, presentment, or indictment lawfully assented to by him, or of his being or having been such juror, or if two or more persons conspire for the purpose of impeding, hindering, obstructing, or defeating in any manner the due course of justice in any state or territory, with intent to deny to any citizen the equal protection of the laws, or to injure him or his property for lawfully enforcing or attempting to enforce the right of any person or class of persons to the equal protection of the laws. That's spot on right there, that last sentence. Because I don't think we can get any closer than this. When the agencies that are supposed to prevent this type of stuff from happening
to comply on the public records request. You told me that if I submitted it, y'all, was the last time that we spoke.
I told you we'd look at it.
You said that we'll comply. You said submit it and we'll comply. Why haven't I gotten the really, Sheriff, is this
when they play a part in it themselves?
The Tannehills did it, who really did it.
And when we as citizens do what we as citizens are entitled to do, step up and hold these people accountable.
Is it that there's no call that came in, or is it that there's somebody like Robin Tannehill or Ray Tannehill that's on that call? I want to know.
That
who's on the call?
Blocking me.
Who's on the call
trying to rig charges, trying to
on the police report that I got from May 30th.
conspire,
Really?
which is
Get any closer.
just two or more people planning. And then section 3 is depriving persons of rights or privileges. If two or more persons in any state or territory conspire to go in disguise on the highway or on the premises of another for the purpose of depriving, either directly or indirectly, any person or class of persons of the equal protection of the laws, or of equal privileges and immunities under the laws, or for the purpose of preventing or hindering the constituted authorities of any state or territory from giving or securing to all persons within such state or territory the equal protection of the laws, or if two or more persons conspire to prevent by force, intimidation, or threat any citizen who is lawfully entitled to vote from giving his support or advocacy in a legal matter toward or in favor of the election, or to injure any citizen in person or property on account of such support or advocacy. In any case of conspiracy set forth in this section, if one or more persons engaged therein do or cause to be done any act in furtherance of the object of such conspiracy, whereby another is injured in his person or property or deprived of having or exercising any right or privilege of a citizen of the
You have
United
permit to be here.
The First Amendment
You
actually.
have a permit to be here.
No.
All right, you gotta leave.
Why is that?
Because you're going to jail if you don't.
I'm going to jail just for standing out here and
That's
holding the
right.
flag.
You're demonstrating.
the party so injured
Okay,
or
where does that
deprived may have action for the recovery of damages occasioned by such injury or deprivation
Okay,
against anyone
I'll leave and take
or
this straight to
more
my attorney
of
then.
the conspirators.
That's you can't threaten me with my First Amendment rights. Hey, I'm going to tell you right now, Mr. Pruitt.
To leave.
Y'all see that?
I think 2 and 3.
Hey, what's your badge number, by the way?
I think they were written
Mr.
about
Pruitt?
riding with the
No,
outlaw.
I'm not. I'm leaving. I was asking.
Because there's no way they can defend themselves. No way. Because the facts, without even making any blind assertions, just the facts alone, read what those two paragraphs are.
that you are obviously pleaded not guilty, so I don't know that I even need to ask you that, but I do want to rule. I've reviewed all the allegations that you have. It kind of speaks for itself. I think it was a very lengthy motion, so I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to it. Would state that what I'm going to do is I'm going to deny your motion at this time, because I do all. It doesn't mean that it will be finally denied. You can certainly feel free, and you may know this already.
Your Honor, if I may, how can I ever get a fair trial without a jury in municipal court? It speaks to the particular type of accusation.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mr. Reardon. It's going to be January 14th at 1 o'clock. It'll be a Zoom hearing. We'll have the attorney here. I'll hear your argument. I'll look at your motion to dismiss again. And again, we'll take it from there.
Your Honor, that's why the whole, in the alternative to transfer, I'm wanting to move this to circuit court in order to get a fair trial via a jury of my peers. And I find it highly prejudicial and constitutionally offensive to have to stand trial before my accuser as my jury.
And I do take note of that point, and I did see that you had that motion to transfer in there as well. So I'm going to deny that motion to transfer. Again, I will transfer cases if the law says, if I believe that they need to be transferred, I can do that to justice court. But in this case, at this time, I'm not transferring it. And I will take note of your remarks. Again, you feel free to make the same arguments again if you need to, or if you feel like you want to on this other day. You've always got whatever decision I make. If there's a fine, I'm guilty. Obviously, you always have the right to appeal my decision to the county court of DeSoto County, and then that you are entitled, according to the judge, you may be entitled rather to a 6-person jury to hear your arguments at that point.
It was a steady barrage of bullshit thrown at me. In less than a minute's time, I was committed all in, shoving my time, talent, reputation, and even my life to the middle, in what truly feels like a high-stakes, no-limit game of Texas Hold'em poker. A strong message hurled right back at a clearly broken system. A system designed to be comprised of the highest integrity and fairness. The last preventative stop block, in the way keeping good from being completely overtaken by evil. In a moment's notice, I made an extremely bold, pivotal move demonstrating defiance in the absence of fear, while bolstering confidence in the presence of conviction. A complete refusal to back down, and a refusal to negotiate. Way too much has been lost over the past few years, quite frankly extorted and stolen from me. That number continues to climb, and no end is in sight. The only remedy, the only option left, was to fight with all my dedication and might, especially when intentional attacks against me worsened, simply for defending myself, gathering evidence of wrongdoing, and asking the right questions, while continuing to be in the right place at the right time. These people have known exactly what they were doing the entire time, and I don't doubt that for a second. The manipulation and destruction of our long-standing Constitution is downright repugnant and offensive that society as a whole haven't stepped up and banded together by force and numbers to prevent further damage. After all, in December of 2007, I swore an oath to my country that I would support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I would bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I would obey all orders of the President of the United States. The sworn oath I took had no expiration date. It's gravely concerning that the state government has refused to provide oversight over its agencies and its courts, denying a citizen, a Marine Corps veteran, the equal protections under the laws that govern and always have governed our nation as a whole. Am I the only one out there that truly grasps the frightening reality of everything that's happening? The fact that if they would go to all these extents, expending the money, time, and effort to attack, destroy, and suppress a USMC veteran, that nobody is no longer truly safe and protected. A corrupt, entitled, and demanding chunk of the population, whom I have no doubt would easily crash our economy and install a totalitarian-style government in record-breaking time. That's where fellow patriots, veterans, 3%ers, oath keepers, and militias come into play. America's insurance policy. The past 3 years have been an absolute nightmare that I've been unable to wake up from. Up until I witnessed everything firsthand myself, I'd always believed the most sinister public corruption scandals and organized crime were reserved for those well-known politicians or the rich and famous. The past 3 years of my life, however, have produced some of the most shocking of occurrences. Absolute incredible amounts of organized crime, racketeering, extortion, public corruption, deprivation of rights, legal interference, custodial interference, conspiracy, contempt, more contempt, even systemic organized kidnapping make up this extreme hell of a nightmare that's been my life. I now find myself in 5 ongoing court battles, of which include 2 Supreme Court appeals and a $10 million federal lawsuit filed December 11, 2020 against the city of Olive Branch in the state of Mississippi. That number of ongoing concurrent court battles could easily double at any time. The end is nowhere in sight, if it even ever comes. It gives off all feelings of a modern-day David versus Goliath, especially when taking into consideration that I'm still standing on my 2 feet against the state government and its obstructionist agencies without so much as an attorney representing me, yet having concrete evidence in a refusal to back down. I've learned to trust my gut, never back down when it comes to an issue of conviction and surety, especially when everything's on the line after everything else was lost due to the dramatic, life-changing impact caused by their malice hands. This is a level of evil intricacy that exceeds that of any John Grisham book I've ever read. And that is a bit intimidating when I begin to piece every puzzle piece to this criminal racket undoubtedly controlled by deep state involvement. The media is refusing to cover it, despite all undoubtable evidence, so they clearly are controlled. I've got a long, lengthy list of every outlet that regularly looks at the new evidence and new court filings, yet refuse to cover it, showing complicity in the massive fraud currently ongoing by ways of suppression. The FBI has refused to cooperate in complying with a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request, which was submitted in April of 2020 requesting the 302 investigative report, or any report for that matter, which would have been generated May 25, 2017, when I had sat down with 2 agents at the field office in Oxford, Mississippi at the recommendation and advisement of an assistant U.S. attorney, Bob Norman, whom you'll commonly hear me refer to throughout Riding with the Outlaw as Blowhard Bob. What's even more alarming is the fact that the public information officer for the FBI actually just admitted via email that they could not locate the report generated by me sitting down with 2 FBI agents on May 25, 2017, the day before I was ambushed on the square in Oxford, Mississippi. Of course, they claim the video evidence would have been erased by now, but that's only the start of this complete insanity. On May 24, 2017, Assistant U.S. Attorney Bob Norman had recommended that I sit down with the FBI due to a death threat I received, as well as who would become the soon-to-be incoming Mayor Robin Tannehill and her husband Ray taking out a cheap shot bullshit injunction on me on the 22nd of May, which barred me from a pre-scheduled speaking engagement at City Hall on June 6, 2017, coincidentally the day of the mayor's election. Now, when adding in the evidence hidden or destroyed by the Sheriff's Department and sealed by the county attorney in regards to the May 24, 2017 phone call received by Jared Bunder, which by their own admission stemmed the warrant, what you have is a complete shit show full of dereliction from agencies and the government clearly scrambling to cover their own tracks. All of everything stemming from the extreme liability the state decided to load itself up on due to an insanely crazy witch hunt that stretched out for 3 years. Oh, by the way, 3 weeks from now will mark 1 year not seeing my 6-year-old daughter Lydia, in retaliation by her mother, Liz Crowder, getting caught up in a nasty rabbit hole conspiracy and a failed attempt to falsely frame me for rape at the end of 2018. I'm retaliated against due to her being picked up on a year-old warrant for the crime of making a false report of rape. It would appear in the reality of some that they feel entitled to report false crimes, destroy lives, separate families, and manipulate courts and judges through an inter-networking channel of attorneys using pay-for-play as their get-out-of-jail-free card. The crazy part here was that while I was the victim in the crime, it was the Olive Branch Police Department that charged her with the crime and pursued her, not me. In my opinion, they really misfired on this one, shooting from the hip, because a misdemeanor making false report charge is nowhere near appropriate when it comes to someone falsely claiming another raped them. All in all, it was an insult to have given up freedoms and liberties just to prove she was lying and had indeed planned this out. I feel cheated in a big way for the real crime to not be charged, criminal conspiracy, especially after she admitted on a recorded call that her husband played a big part in everything. I also had hoped that we as a society would have moved past the Me Too, vagina hat-wearing, feminazi era after the successful appointment of Justice Brett Kavanaugh to the United States Supreme Court when he prevailed against his false accusers. I'm speaking from first-hand knowledge as a victim to it, that it is no doubt one of the biggest stains on American freedoms and values, along with being one of the biggest drains and scams in society, only to be topped by the 2020 election, COVID-19, Hillary Rodham Clinton, and Barack Hussein Obama. I believe someone who falsely reports a serious sex crime such as that or molestation should be sentenced worse than the crime they falsely accuse. Otherwise, there's no true deterrent to put an end to it, and the credibility of true victims is forever dwindled down, making them fear coming forward. Not to mention the actual victim's life that would likely forever be destroyed, if not killed in jail, before ever having the chance to prove they were falsely accused. The life-altering damage that a single vengeful false allegation stemming an arrest can cause is unsurpassable. As the victim of false allegations multiple times over the past 3 to 4 years due to the precedent set, and allowing the individual to get away with it the first time, has directly created this systemic issue that the true blame needs to be placed on the state government for being culpably negligent in allowing this nonsense to go on, and further preventing the victim equal protections under the laws of the state of Mississippi. Legislation overhaul is badly needed, further paving way to certain reforms in the criminal justice system, which at this point are mandatory. I would say that anyone who doesn't agree with that after assessing all evidence and all the criminal wrongdoing that the current legislature and criminal justice system has caused is clearly a big part of the problem continuing to cause this major problem. So in retaliation, she sets off on a journey. Despite scamming me out of the majority of my passive income due to a 4-year-old child support agreement that was created at a time when my income was much higher, approximately 5 times what it is now. Meanwhile, the municipal court of Olive Branch couldn't have made a more reckless call in further victimizing the victim to the fullest and denying him equal protections of the laws. The judge in this case, Leslie Shoemake, outrageously gave her 30 days in jail for her failed attempt to not only frame me for rape, but she even admitted on a recorded phone call to it being something that she had co-conspired with her husband, and he was never charged. Judge Shoemake allowed her to plead no contest with an intention to contest her plea or the sentence via appeal. How is someone allowed to contest a no contest plea in the first place? When she submitted her appeal 2 weeks late and the circuit court denied it, sent it back to municipal court in order for the sentence to be executed, this liberal judge permanently did away with the jail sentence given so long as she paid the $1,209.25 fine in full. My $600 per month in child support likely helped pay for that. So the city of Olive Branch stood to financially gain complete loss of the victim.
Matthew Reardon. Mr. Reardon, I'm going to give you a warning one time and one time only. The next time you call up here, the next time you give anybody in my staff a hard time, I'm going to have you arrested for contempt of court. You're not to come up here. When you call up here, you're asking me to rape it.
Your Honor, how did I do that?
Be quiet, sir. I hear you saying you want to discuss something with me. Let's hear it. What do you want to discuss with me?
I was simply trying to inquire on the outcome of my ex. She falsely accused me of rape. You've created a monster,
Please,
Your Honor.
take him on back. Take him on back to the back. Go back, sir. I'm going to hold you in contempt of court. Take him on back.
Your Honor, I was just trying to address this.
All right, sir, let's go. Come on. You want to go on your own?
Go back.
Your Honor, please. My wife is outside.
I don't care.
My wife is outside.